We
All
do.
right, so we are good to go. Zulien, thank you so much for joining me today. This is episode 8 of Tequila and Transactions. And more than anything, just want to thank you so much for being here. I'm going to let you kick this off here shortly. What I like to do is just start out by introducing you, then we'll jump in and do our pretty much our promo video just to kick it off. And then from there, I'll pretty much pass the mic over, and then we can crack open our tequilas here that we're doing a little celebrity style today, where we're going to be sharing some tequila from some well-known celebrities. So let me stop sharing this beautiful photo of Casamigos, and then let me go ahead and share this and start it off. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zulien. I appreciate you so much again. I appreciate you jumping on here, being my co-host or guest, whatever you'd like to look at it as. I'll say guest just because we're going to be sharing some tequila. So you are my guest. So thank you for coming on. Let everybody know who you are, who you work with, and more so where people also can find you so they can ask some great advice from you as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. Super happy to be here. I love tequila. So when you asked me to be here, I'm like, yay, I want to be on. This is my stuff. Zulien Morales, State Farm Insurance. My office is located in Pleasanton. I've been in the industry 20 years, 11 of those years on my own as an entrepreneur. And people can find me on Facebook, Instagram. My handle is Agent Zulien SF. And if not, you can always just Google me and text, email, call, any of the above.
Awesome. And you guys do everything under the sun. You guys don't just insure property, right?
Yeah, we pretty much, your typical auto, home, life insurance, disability. We do a lot of business insurance out of my office. So, food trucks, which has been very popular, stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be monitoring this, you guys. This is all going to be revolving around Zulien and her business, and we're going to be talking a little bit of real estate, but I think the most important thing we're going to be talking about during the Tequila and Transaction Show, and this is episode 8, by the way, is the tequila itself. So, like I said, I'm going to be monitoring. Drop your questions, drop your comments, anything you guys have for us. We'll be taking a peek every so often, hopefully have a little bit of time at the end to answer some questions. But I agree with you 100%. I love tequila. That's why I started this show. The pandemic definitely gave us a little bit of extra time. So what can I do to keep me busy, but bring on some amazing individuals and do something I love? And I'm like, well, I love drinking.
I know.
I love drinking, more specifically tequila. So I was like, how can I put this all together? And then I think I was over some copas of tequila. I was like, tequila and transactions. And it kind of had a flow to it. And it kind of rolled off the tongue. And then, so I told myself, let's do it. Let's start bringing on some people. Let's talk about what they're doing, what they're up to, and then share a copa of tequila. So those of you who don't know, this is actually Celebrity Edition. We're actually going to be sharing some tequila that celebrities actually put their name on. That's, pretty much their own endeavors. Tequila has gotten very, very, very popular. Most recently over the last 5 years, and it's continually trying to, it's just being a huge trend as far as, the agave itself. If you go to Mexico, you will see it being grown everywhere and anywhere. It takes anywhere, I believe 5 years, 6 years, something like that, to actually, if I could say madure, which means to mature, and so that it actually can then be distilled into what you drink today as tequila. And I always like to kind of go through the gist of it. Zulien, this is probably
no, I like it.
I was like, she probably knows all this stuff, but
no, I don't. I just like to drink it. I don't know how.
it was funny because before we even went live, we were kind of chatting about how crazy, like, just the facts behind tequila, that it's a monopoly in Mexico. People really don't know that Jose Cuervo is a master tequilero. Jose Cuervo is like the king of tequila, and they are the parent company that owns all these companies. So you name it, Don Julio, Jose Cuervo owns it. Patron, Don Julio, all these well-known brands. What else is out there? Patron, Don Julio.
Well, we just saw Casa Noble.
Yeah, a lot of Casa Noble as well. I'll Siete Leguas. A bunch of these well-known brands are all under the Jose Cuervo tree, and Jose Cuervo is kind of like I would say I don't know, Time Warner, that, like the company that just owns all these subsidiaries. And so tequila's their thing, and that's what they do. I was most recently out there, and it was astonishing to see that every year I'm out there, it's like every bit of land that's available, they're either building property on it or they're growing agave on it. So it's the crazy thing that tequila has to be grown in Jalisco, of all places. So that's the kind of reason why you're allowed to call something tequila. If not, it's distilled differently, which is the more I would say ancient way of doing it. The more indigenous way of doing it is mezcal. And then, if you want to actually call it tequila, it has to be grown in Jalisco, similar to Scotch in Scotland. And, what else can I think of? Oh, like cognac has to be from France, stuff like that. So same thing with champagne. If you're not, it's called brut. So, first and foremost, I think, we should pop our bottles and you could let people know what you got and who the celebrity is. And then I'll talk a little bit about mine, and we'll taste test them and see what the heck we're doing here.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I was, I had asked for help, because I definitely wanted to bring a good bottle, and just get people hyped up about, what was happening. And so, I mean, people were sending some stuff that I like, and some stuff that I haven't. But I have had my eyes on Casamigos because I'm a George Clooney fan. And I just really haven't had the reason to purchase the bottle and drink it. So I appreciate everybody's input, but I just kind of went with my gut. So yeah, so George is on. And you actually made the recommendation to go with the añejo. So here's a little fun fact. I'm more of a shot kind of girl. And I was watching your past episodes, and you're more of a sipper. So in order for me to be a sipper, I made some fresh guacamole.
Oh, because wow.
I'm
jealous.
I was like, oh God, I gotta do this.
Something on the side to kind of help the stomach out.
Yes, especially because we're sipping. So
I think Michael Bardales just jumped in the chat. I think he's a little jealous he doesn't have some of your famous guacamole.
He's just mad that he didn't make any when he was on. That's all. Hey, Michael.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I usually I should bring food to this, but I usually don't. It's more of a drinking show, but I should have something on the side. Now you have me thinking. I'm probably next time gonna have like some tacos or some on the side, just to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. Just because, yeah, I just get on here and drink, and sometimes like I'll even stick around at the office and just have a few more, and just kick off a weekend a day early on a Thursday.
Hey, I appreciate that. This is like happy hour for me. You know what I mean? And I wasn't sure about George, so I got some limes because I was nervous about George. So.
I've talked about it before that usually, I mean, for me, if I'm drinking shots, usually I go with like tequila blanco.
Me too.
Because tequila blanco has a great, I mean, it depends who you go with. Don't just get the cheapest thing on the market. But Centenario makes a great tequila blanco. It even has a little bit of color to it, even like they age it maybe just a little bit. But even Don Julio Blanco is one of my favorites. Don't go get Patron. Don't get the silver. I don't know. I think they're about the same price. But if you really want some good stuff, Don Julio, and even Centenario. But those are good for shots. Sometimes you don't even need limes because they're just they don't have much of the maturity to it. It doesn't have that dark color. You can take those in shots. It's going to taste delicious. You could sip it. Um,
Yeah.
and the first one doesn't always go down as great. You got to kind of just let it go down and kind of let your insides know that more tequila is coming, and then you really start to get that flavor out of it. But I have something very different, very special. Actually, I got this bottle from a good friend of mine. Shout out to Brandon Carroll at RPM Mortgage. Brandon told me a couple months ago, well, this was like even pre-pandemic, before it went, everything went, flipped on us and got really crazy. But we were sitting at a bar. Where were we at? We were at the rooftop in Wanna Creek, and Brandon told me, "Hey man, next time we get a deal done, because we were talking tequila, and that's my cup of tea. I love, that's something I love talking about."
Yeah.
And I was telling him how Michael Jordan was coming out with his own tequila, and he's like, "No way!" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it was funny enough, it was at the bar, it was at rooftop, and I was like, "Dude, that's Michael Jordan's tequila right there." He's like, "Oh man, that's crazy. Look at that bottle, how cool it is." And I was like, "Yeah, it's hella nice." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to try it because I'm not going to spend money on something I don't know if it tastes good or not. I'd rather go with something I know is going to be good." So I went with my main man, Don Julio. But I kind of regret not trying it. But the beauty of this show is that I'm actually going to try it with you today, Zulien. So this is Michael Jordan's Cincoro. And this is also an añejo, so I'm going to be matching you up. But the bottle, it just has some crazy details to it. It has like this little kind of diamond kind of little topper on it.
Mm-hmm.
It has like a nice little design on the bottom. Of you guys can see that. There it goes. It has like a little agave plant under there. And then when you stare at it from the top, it's going to be hard to show you guys, but if you stare at it from the top, it kind of has a really cool design at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So this is extremely different. I know what I'm going to get with George Clooney because I love that bottle, and that's why I recommended it to you. To get most bang for your buck to get a good añejo.
Yeah.
But this is going to be real different. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. So let's see what this is all about.
Crossing my fingers.
Smells pretty good. And I've heard great things about it. I've never had it. So I always like to bring my my famous shot glass from Jalisco, from tequila. Has a little agave plant in there, so you guys can see it.
Yeah.
That's how I measure them out, because after a while, if I'm not being careful and I'm not measuring them out, it might be an all-nighter here at the office.
I'm sitting here. Cheers.
I'll let you know. Let me see what this is all about.
Yeah, I tasted mine.
All right. That's actually pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know if I can compare it to 1942 yet, because that's just consistent. It's always very consistent, but I'm not gonna. Michael Jordan, cheers to you. This is pretty damn good.
Okay. How does Jordan do with my friend George? Like, since you've had both.
For the price, I would just go George Clooney, because it's very similar. I actually love the taste of his tequila. I mean, I've had it as soon as it came out. Like, I was like, oh, I gotta try it. It's like George was like one of the first celebrities that came out and had his own tequila.
Mm-hmm.
Then E40 followed. Michael Jordan followed. Who else is doing tequila? The Rock with I forget his name. What his tequila's name is. I think it's Tesoro or Tesamia or something like that. But yeah, even Mr. Dwayne The Rock Johnson has his own tequila. So I mean, we're talking about heavy hitters, people that are entrepreneurs that have vastly different businesses and have been in different aspects. Well, pretty much all in entertainment, but they all are kind of tied to something. And tequila has just gotten that much more attractive because if you make a really good tequila, there's virtually no hangover. And if you're drinking it right, you should be okay. And then what I mean by right is make sure you're drinking a little bit of water now and then. And that's why for me, if I'm drinking my tequila, If I'm going to dilute it, I'm not going to dilute it with soda. And I'll tell you guys why, because you're adding sugar, and that's the key to the hangover. So what I do is I get a little bit of good old H2O, a little bit of sparkling water. If I have LaCroix in the fridge, a lemon or a lime LaCroix works pretty damn good too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the celebrities really caught on to the desirability of tequila. I mean, it's not an easy task. You're talking about a couple years to just be able to pull that cactus, that agave out of the ground, and get that piña, that big old pineapple underneath, and just use that to then they cook them, and then they distill it, and they mush it up, like, and that's how they would then extract the agave, the pretty much all the nectar out of it, to then add it in barrels and create tequila. But it's not an easy process, and it could take a long time, especially añejos. You're probably talking about maybe 8 to 10 years. So I mean, he's been in probably developing this for the past 10 years or even longer, because he's had to have grown his agave, or even worked out a deal with the farmers to have his agave ready, and then actually to create the product. So
Yeah.
it's not an easy task. So I mean, it's definitely a really good tequila. And but if you're gonna ask me, hey, what would you prefer? I think I'm gonna go with my man George Clooney, just because I love the flavor of it. I even love the price of it. I mean, it's not bad for it's way cheaper than getting a bottle of 1942, and you're getting almost the same product. And I actually kind of like the taste of George Clooney's a little bit better. You tell me, what is it? Where does it stack up for you?
You know what? I am more of a white
Yeah,
chilled
a blanco.
kind
Yeah,
of tequila. So añejo, I mean, it's good. I can drink it. I mean, I'm not. You don't see me sucking the lime, so I'm doing good. It's not bad.
that's a great sign.
That's a good sign. So yeah, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad at all. Now, I have it at room temperature. I think I would like it a little bit colder,
Right.
but not overly chilled like you serve the white. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the white, you're gonna pretty much stick it in the freezer until like
Mm-hmm.
it's frosty, and then you just
Yeah,
pour shots of it, and it goes down like water.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I'd probably stick it in the fridge for about an hour or so, and then
Mm-hmm.
if you're not wanting to sip it, put a little bit of soda in there, something light.
Yeah.
It's not gonna go. I mean, we've even used. I mean, in Mexico, sometimes the cliche was that you would add tequila and a little bit of squirt, a little bit of citrus soda, or fresca or something. People are like, what the hell's fresca? Fresca, you're not going to find it in your normal store. Fresca is a Mexican grapefruit soda, and it goes really, really well. And if you know what a cantarito is, a cantarito, usually they prepare it with orange, lime, and grapefruit juice, essentially. And they also add a little bit of soda to give it a little bit of bubbly to it. But that's traditionally where how tequila is pretty much,
Yeah.
it's drinked that way. It's socially, if you're not drinking it out the bottle, or taking it down in shots, you're drinking it as like in a cantarito, or they call it a paloma, which is
Yeah.
also the same thing. You're talking about citrus soda, some tequila, usually top it off with a lime. I've known over the years that I can't drink like I used to. Like I used to love to drink in my college days and my fraternity days, and now it's much more. I have to be thinking about tomorrow. So
Yeah.
and be able to be professional and get up in the morning and not have that really awkward kind of slow trying to get into the mood, and get out there and start.
Yeah. No, and I think our
Yeah,
palates change too, as we mature, our
correct,
palates, I think, blossom. And so
correct.
drinking two buck chuck is just not as desirable.
No, no, it's not. And then, like, yes, definitely. I mean, and as we mature, we definitely, gain new understanding and new appreciation for things. And
Mhm.
for me, just a really well-aged tequila is something I have a lot of appreciation for, because there's been a lot of time and effort that has gone into making it what it is.
Right.
So, Michael Jordan, good. Will I spend $130 or so for the bottle just to drink it? Nah, not so much, but I will spend the 70-ish dollars for Mr. George Clooney. Not so much with Cincoro, but it is a really good bottle. I will drink it again, but I'm gonna have to savor this one. And I wanted to come on, since we were talking about doing something celebrity style and drinking something, that a celebrity actually put out there in the market, I was like, you know what, I got the right bottle for it. So
Cool. I'm glad that you cracked it open and that you like it,
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Scary. I'm like, how are we gonna get through this if we don't like it? I'm like, is there a backup bottle?
And the funny thing is, I do have a backup bottle. I got a backup bottle chilling in the cupboard over here. So, yeah, more than anything, just wanting to educate people on tequila, give them a new understanding, let them know, so you don't look like a doofus out there drinking tequila amongst your friends, and they're like, oh, what's a good tequila or something like that, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I watch Tequila Transactions. I know a little bit. I know, so that's more than anything was my kind of goal in this, is just kind of understand where people, where they're at as far as tequila. Like, do you love it? Do you hate it? I've had a vast different opinions on the show. My first guest, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a realtor. His name is Christian Avalar, and the dude loves tequila. So he was on here drinking. Me and him were like, dude, we could be here all day, but we got to go work. I was like, oh, you're right. But were you always a tequila drinker? Is it because of your family, because of your friends, or is it just something that you gravitated towards?
I think it was friends. I mean, my heritage, Nicaragüense, China. So for us, it's flor de caña.
Yes.
And so
100%.
tequila was not really up our alley growing up. I mean,
Yeah.
family parties, it was always flor de caña and we're Coca-Cola, right?
Uh-huh.
But as I got older and friends and going to the club and all this stuff, I would tequila was just kind of the thing. And I just hated buying a drink and it being watered down or just being disappointed that there was not enough alcohol in my drink. So I was just like, screw it. I'm just gonna get a shot. And my friends were like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, really. And I was actually perfectly fine. The next day I wasn't hungover. I didn't mix. So end of the night I was feeling fine. I was able to sober up a lot faster with water. So tequila is just kind of my thing. And you just had Felicia on last time, and you guys were talking about vodka, right? Yeah. And
yes,
you can do shots, but people tend to do them with, they call them vodka shooters. So there's usually an oyster in them.
I have a great experience with those shooters. I was you're making me reminisce here, Zulien. I'm over here thinking about my New Orleans days.
I'm sorry, but
it's actually a good story. So we were in New Orleans. We went to go watch the 49ers and play against New Orleans Saints. This was about a year ago now, a little bit over a year. It's like early December 2019, and over there, seafood is king. Like you're eating, drinking seafood. Like that's it. Like you're out in the streets, hanging out, drinking. If you're not having a fluffy beignet covered in sugar, you're definitely out there having some oysters or some crawfish or something of that nature. So I remember, we were at a bar or at a restaurant. It was, man, and I'm gonna hate myself because I can remember the name because it's extremely famous. Acme was one of them, and I forget what the other one is called. People are probably gonna be like, dude, I can't believe you forgot. But it's like one of the most famous places to get oysters. So we were there at I think it was Acme, and we were there eating. And my cousin was like, Rick, you want an oyster shooter? I was like, hell yeah. I was like, I came here to eat seafood, my man. Hell yeah, I want an oyster shooter. She brings him over, and I'm over here thinking it was just like a little oyster with some tomato juice in it or something. You know what I mean? Oh no. Yeah. I knew it right away. As soon as I drink, I'm like, what the hell did you just give me?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's an oyster shooter, bro. It's like vodka and an oyster. And I was like, oh my God. But it was so damn good. It was so damn good. And then they were cheap. So, I was like, oh man, how much are those? They're like $1, $2, something cheap, right? I was like, another round on me. And actually, that's probably the one and only times in my life I did not wake up hating the world after drinking vodka. Yeah. But I think it might have been all the food, all the beignets, all
Yeah.
everything that I ate that day. But man, I've had some terrible, terrible experiences, like where I wake up and I'm like cursing the world, like who gave this damn thing to me last night? Like who was feeding me vodka? And I was, and but it's just it doesn't. We're not friends. I mean, although I want to like Lady Vodka, I don't like her. She does
Yeah,
she
no.
rubs me the wrong way.
But that is how you, I mean, that's, to me, that's the only way you can get a vodka shot is by doing it a shooter. You know what I mean? Just,
Yeah.
but other than that, to be sipping it like this, I couldn't do that with vodka. No way.
No.
No way.
Heck no. And hats off to all my Russian friends out there, but no, I can't. Like, as much as I want to, and I know there's some great vodkas out there. Don't get me wrong. I just, for me, it's just like I'm not a huge fan of it. I
Yeah.
would love to drink anything under the sun when I was I was a young gun, and whatever people gave me, I was like, sure, I'll drink it. But now it's just like, I gotta look out for myself. I gotta look out for, I got clients I gotta talk to. I got people to see, things to do. I can't be out here, in
Yeah.
sunglasses and a hoodie on when I need to go show property, and I'm like, oh man, I can't be doing this. But no, yeah, vodka's great. I do have a lot of respect for vodka, but it's not my buddy. It's not my friend.
No, for sure. No, I think if you're ever in the Austin area, you got to visit 6th Street. I mean, it's just full of bars. And I can't remember the name of the bar, but I walked in and they just had tequila on tap, you know what I mean? And then it was coming out cold. So
In Austin, Texas?
Austin, yeah, 6th Street.
Oh,
It's
I
just like
gotta go.
rooftop bars, and I mean, it's party central. But yeah,
It's a little far from Dallas, isn't it?
yeah.
It's on the other side, or kind of like it's a good amount of drive, isn't it?
So it's like 3 hours away,
Yeah.
Dallas to Austin.
I got a buddy, a really good friend of mine, Darshan, who lives out in Dallas, well, next to Dallas in Plano. And we actually went to his wedding a couple of years ago. I love Texas. Texas, people are like, oh man, Texas this, Texas that. I was like, man, I love Texas. People are so friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And they have that kind of southern comfort, that vibe. And I was like, man, and I had so much bad like a stigma. Like I'm like going out there, like, man, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna be like, you damn Californian, this and that. And in my mind, in my mind, I had to picture totally different. And I went out there, I'm like, wow, like this is a really, really nice place. I won't live there because it's flat and extremely hot and humid, but I would definitely love to visit. I mean, I love to visit and travel out there. I mean, it's so nice, and I fell in love with their freeways, like their infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like, everything is like so clean and so like well taken care of. And I'm like, we're in California, like on the freeway, like pothole after pothole, and like so. Yeah, it's so different. But man, it's very, very nice out there, and I do love me some Texas food, so I do got to get back there.
Yeah, you got to get to Austin. I think you'll like it. You'll like the bars. I'll have to remember the name of that one, but it was just nice to see the tequila on tap. Like I'm like,
well, you got me interested already. So now I have to go because that's gonna be like that just screams me. I'm probably gonna have to drag me out of that place.
Oh, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
No, that's awesome. So one thing I did want to ask you, now we're over here just chatting away about tequila and everything, but more than anything, just about your business, the importance of insurance more than anything. And, I know a lot of things have changed, California in particular. And I usually tell my clients, talk to your insurance, whoever it is. And I always name drop you, of course, and other people. I always like to give people a little bit of options because I'd hate for them to be like, oh, you just gave me one option and this and that. So I always like to give at least two names out there. I know people that I know and trust. But State Farm's everywhere. You guys are all over the internet. You guys are all over the TV. You got Mr. What's his name from State Farm? Jake from State Farm.
Oh, Jake from State Farm.
And then yeah, like, so you guys are extremely well known. I mean, the brand is there, the image is there, but from your perspective, what is like the number one thing that you think that homeowners are lacking? And also I wanted to ask you if you could touch on the importance as well about fires, because California, obviously we've gone through a lot, and just the importance of making sure about, your home is not in that like a specific zoning that's gonna
Yeah.
it's going to be extremely difficult to either get insured or it's just going to be very expensive. So
It is. It is. Well, I mean, to answer question number one, I
yeah,
think
sorry,
what,
I just threw them
no,
out there.
no, you're good. I just want to make sure I touch on your points.
Yeah.
So, I think what's really important and what I really emphasize people about my customers is making sure that you understand your dwelling coverage, which is your structure, because things can happen and let's just say my house burns down. I want to make sure that I have enough coverage to rebuild my house to what it had. And so it's really important to dive into that, and be educated on what that is, because we're seeing the market rise, we're seeing property values being higher, but maybe the rebuilding is maybe half of that, or you know what I mean. And so it's a it's one of those things where they need to understand that market value and rebuilding are two completely different things, right? So making sure that you have enough coverage there. um, and I always tell my customers, don't throw away that booklet that you threw away, keep it. And I make a joke about it because everybody throws away, I think, what's important, the meat of it all, and they just
Right.
keep the declaration page. But I always say don't review the whole thing. I mean, you could just review the exclusions and limitations, know what won't cover versus maybe what will cover. And then, yeah, wildfires. Wildfires is just something, oh gosh, I think that all insurance companies are just, seeing a big shift. I was just on a marketing call earlier this morning. We had the fire chief, and, you know, he doesn't see the wildfire stopping. I mean, I also don't see them stopping. And so it's one of those things that it's going to continue. It's becoming more consistent than random. And that's going to play big on premiums. That's going to be big on not just in the urban areas, but also out, in the foothills, right? Which is where we're seeing the big problems with people finding a hard time getting insurance. And most of the time they're ending up with the California Fair Plan, which is your last resort for insurance.
And that's through the state of California, correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So the Fair Plan, yeah, is through them, and it's very limited coverage, and that's why we, even with us, if I can't write it, I'm gonna call and check in with another insurance buddy with a different carrier, and we all do the same thing because, insurance companies, although we love being number one, we also want to make sure that we're managing risk and we're diversifying, and State Farm doesn't want to be 100%. So in other insurance companies, that's where you get the whole, we're not writing in this area, we're not writing in this other area, because there's too much of it. And so they want to diversify, diversify the risk. And so,
Got
yeah.
Yeah.
So do that before it ends up at the Fair Plan.
Right. And like you said, that's the last resort. So if you've gone to multiple, different avenues, and insurance companies are like, sorry, we can't. I've had to tell clients, like, you guys need to call right away, because obviously we're in a fire zone here.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're next to a huge vegetation area or a hillside with a bunch of trees or whatever. And we see a lot of that too. I mean, where we're from, I mean, obviously out here in the East Bay, there's a lot of cities like Lafayette, like, Walnut Creek, like a lot of cities that just have a lot of trees or a lot of density or something like that, that just, one thing that goes wrong, you're talking about, these trees and these forests, or these like little areas that have a lot of vegetation, like being able to affect a lot of houses. So I always tell folks, like, it is an issue now, and it wasn't so much before because we didn't see it as often.
Yeah.
And it's just every year we've had something, whether it's one or two big ones up here in our way, whether it was Paradise or Chico, and just extremely sad to see all those folks lose their homes. And even one of our associates here at Boulevard, it was crazy. Like he did. I mean, thank God they weren't, one of his partner was there at the time, but it's crazy that, one instance it could be gone. And, the thing was that it was his second home. So thank God he still had a place to live. But at the same time, a lot of their stuff, could have gone up in flames, and crazy enough, his house was one of the only houses that didn't burn down in his neighborhood. So we're talking about, all these homes being affected, and him, obviously he was able to sell his house, but still it's crazy that a lot of his neighbors had nowhere to go home to.
And he didn't have any like smoke damage from his
I don't think so. I literally think like the smoke just went right by his house. And it's funny because like everything was still intact. Like he sent me photos. He's like, the damn pillow. He's like, the damn pillows on the patio furniture didn't even burn. What the hell? And it's just like a little bit like they jumped in I don't know if his partner jumped in with the neighbor, or jumped in with somebody, maybe a firefighter. I can't remember who he left with, but he left his camper, his RV there. And yeah, the RV just got a little bit of smoke damage on the exterior, but I mean, the house, nothing happened. It was like him and another neighbor, like were the only two. And it was just, it was a very sad photo, like a very sad scene when he sent us a photo, and it was just his house and another, and everything else was just rubbish, like rebel, like it was just nothing. So it's crazy because we do live in California. We live in a beautiful place. Don't get me wrong. We're in, a couple hours you could be at the beach, or a couple hours you could be up in the mountains looking at snow. So we have very diverse, landscapes here. But at the same time, that does play into, insurance, and into, just being protected for your home. So that's crazy. And yeah, it's crazy because like you touched on it, a lot of people don't have enough coverage.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh no, that's fine. It's cheaper. It's like, okay, but what if your house goes up in flames? Like, what if you lose your house? You think you'll be able to rebuild this for $400,000?
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes I have to really tell them, like, make sure you talk to, someone who's reputable, not just your insurance carrier for your car, or someone that, you don't know, because you want to make sure that it is justifiable. That essentially, like, if you're able to have some extra cushion there for maybe any personal items or what have you. But, it is very important, and people don't, obviously every dollar counts, but at the end of the day, it's insurance. You're paying for it for a reason, and it's just to ensure that nothing does occur. And if it does, you're good. But people sometimes will see it that way, like, oh, nothing's ever going to happen. But we don't know. We never know.
You never know. And I mean, hay un dicho en español, right? That lo barato sale caro. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like,
I like that. I like that saying a lot, because it definitely it can apply to everything.
A lot of things, right? I mean, everybody wants the Chanel, the Louis. I mean, you can't get that at a Target price, So, and I always tell them as well, it's like your home is the biggest, or one of your biggest assets. So do not skimp on that. You know what I mean? Be educated, be versed on it. Make sure that, your agent's office is educating you, because if you can't say certain things off the tip of your tongue based on your policy, then I feel like that agent's office is not educating the customer on their policies. And it's just little stuff like that I was just having a conversation with another customer about losses and claims, and I just said, look, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I rather the repercussions to things, versus you telling me, well, why didn't you advise me? Why didn't you tell me? So I'd rather have the uncomfortable conversation right now about the what ifs versus the why didn't you.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's better to get that phone call like, hey, don't worry about it. You're good. Everything is going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to be, just the last thing you want to think of, if ever in a fortunate circumstance ever were to happen, would be like, am I gonna be able to get my stuff back, or at least replace my stuff? And I think that's the crazy thing is that, like you're saying, although it may be cheap now, it for sure ain't gonna be cheap later, todo se paga con, todo siempre se va a tener que pagar. Like always are gonna have to owe something, always have to pay something back. Like it's always gonna come back to you some way or another. So it's like if you're cheaping out now, then obviously it's gonna come to haunt you later. Like por una buena no sale una mala. So it's like at the same time, like the saying that if it's may seem good, it may not always turn out to be that good. So it's always better to just kind of be prepared. It isn't cheap to rebuild anymore. Wood has gone up, prices have gone up. So it's like, maybe you could rebuild your house for 400 grand 10, 15 years ago. It's definitely not going to be that price now because of inflation, because of, there's not a dime a dozen contractors and people out there available right now. And everyone's, focusing on rebuilding building communities to help out in my realm, in my industry, to help get buyers in the doors, to help people get homes. And there's not just like it's not going to be easy to get someone to rebuild your house if for something does happen. So it's always better, like you said, to always just be very well prepared and very well educated on what you're buying, what you're paying for. Because although you can change your policy once you kind of buy it, I feel like my clients in particular, like once they pay for something, it's like, all right, we're going to set it, we're going to forget it. And they're not like going to call you like in a year, like, hey, Zulien, we need to upgrade our plan, or we need to like get more insurance. It's more so like if it's $100 a month or $80 a month or whatever it is, it's kind of they're cool with that, without even maybe hopefully they do know. And I hope my clients do actually talk to their insurance folks and their advisors and actually talk through it. But I never know, because it's not something I'm really involved with. I always say this is the person you should talk to. Make sure you go over everything with them, and they're gonna advise you on what you should get. They're not gonna just sell you to sell you. So, but yeah, that's the scary truth, is that sometimes I have no idea, and I truly hope that all my clients, hopefully, if you guys are listening to this, and you're maybe a little nervous, you should call Zulien or like review your policy, because you never know.
Yeah,
you just never know.
You just never know. And I mean, that's why, people tend to forget. I mean, life happens so quickly. I mean, March 16th, 2020, we went into this pandemic. Now we are, what I mean? And it was so fast. I mean, consumed with a total change, but, life goes quickly. And so what I tell my customers is, anytime you do a remodel, anytime a big life event happens, call us, just have the conversation. But I also make it a point to reach out to my customers every 2 years, because usually, 2 years, it goes by pretty quickly.
Right.
You blink and the year's over.
Do you have any funny stories to share with us? Anything that you've come across, or something like where people are trying to insure something and you're like, I don't know if we can do that, or like something that you've come across, or maybe something that like people have asked you and you're like, it doesn't really work that way.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Coverage claims, right? For stuff. I mean,
I can imagine those calls.
Yeah, the theft is one of those. I mean, I had a customer who she was sent over her list of everything that was stolen out of the house. And I mean, it was just crazy to see all the stuff, 7, 8 Louis Vuitton, this and Gucci shoes, Prada this, Christian Louboutin shoe, what I mean? All this stuff. And so what did the insurance company say is, we need receipts, or we need, what I mean? And typically when you shop at these stores, if I don't keep my receipt, I can always go back and have them reprint it, because
the Louis Vuitton and all those companies are very accountable. Like they want you in their system because they want you to come back.
Yes, they do. I mean, it's one of those, with I've gotten, with my husband, they're like, oh, Zulien, you haven't been by since such and such date. And my husband, like, Yeah, but they keep records like that. So it's like they're trying to come up on the claim, but it's like maybe you only had one purse, not the 8, stuff like that. But it happens. It's I don't know, you know.
So
I would say that that's kind of my thing. I think we have more awkward stuff. For me, it's more when divorce happens, and
I've dealt with one of those, or a few of those actually, on just the selling side. So it's
yeah,
an interesting situation.
yeah,
It's not good when they don't like each other anymore. You're like kind of stuck in
yeah,
the middle a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, so moral of the first story is, ladies, gentlemen, save those receipts.
Or go back to the store and get them.
Yeah, for sure. Because you definitely want your stuff to be covered. But yeah, sorry, Zulien cannot cover all your expensive Louis Vuitton and your Rolexes and all that. That definitely, you guys have to have the invoices for those. But
Only that, yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, divorces are interesting. Yeah, I mean, our industry is extremely interesting. I mean, we're dealing with people every single day who need something from us, whether it's getting insured, whether they're looking to sell a property, buy a property, whatever it is. And our paths cross a lot, because obviously you can, help them with insuring a lot of their items that they may not have insured when they were renting. Some folks do, or many times they don't carry renter's insurance, but it's a whole new kind of thing when they're moving into a new house and they have to think about insurance, and stuff like that. And then sometimes there are a lot of young folks who I was waiting to see when you're going to start digging into that guacamole. I was like, oh man. I was like, now after this, I feel like I need to go get some food, like some Mexican food after this, and try to at least.
Gorgeous fault. I miss this. I miss happy hour.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the most things I miss, is being able to just mingle with people, like face to face, like at a restaurant or a bar, mainly restaurants. And I usually go to La Piñata is like my go-to. I love La Piñata. Always go there. People are like, what? What's La Piñata? Well, La Piñata is it's a chain restaurant. They're pretty much everywhere in the Bay. They have one in Pittsburgh. They have one in Concord.
Alameda, La Penca, Azul.
Oh yeah, they were
Mm-hmm.
family, yeah, and they split. So La Penca Azul, and then excuse me, La Penca Azul, and then I need more tequila.
Yeah. No, but going back to divorce is hard. I mean, we're working with them personally, and it's awkward when you hear each side and stuff like that. So yeah, I always say that not so much awkward. I think we have more awkward moments in the insurance than we do maybe funny. Because we know a lot, life events. So yeah, but I miss happy hour. So thanks for having me. And I feel bad eating the guacamole when you don't have any.
Well, I should have thought about, like I said, I should have thought about bringing something on too, but it's always like, oh, I'm just gonna show up to drink. That's about it. No, of course, thanks for coming on. I think I don't know if I'm losing my voice or what's going on here, but I was like talking, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, oh, I need to drink something because my palate was getting super dry. But no, yeah, more than anything, I just appreciate you coming on, sharing a little bit with us. I don't see any questions. I see just a lot of Michael's comments in here. But if anybody else has any questions, let us know. Whether it's insurance, real estate related, tequila related. But I think in the residential world, the real estate world, I think you're still going to be extremely busy, because we're extremely busy. If we could have more houses to sell people, I think that'd be like a dream come true, because we have literally, our inventory is super slim. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, it's never been a topic that I bring up with, or that I talk about when I first meet a client, but new construction is like the way to go right now.
I bet. I'm sure. You're not having to fight, buy, bid, It's hard. You guys, it's stressful.
Yeah, because I mean, although we'd love to sell our clients the ideal home, it's just not available. It's not on the market, and we're kind of having to fight for property. Like I can't I can't even like I don't think we have enough time to just sit here and tell you all the crazy things that are going on right now. But yeah, multiple offers like crazy. I mean, the interest rates are still low. Excuse me, they're still going to remain low. We don't see much movement happening in that industry this year. So hopefully Mr. President Joe Biden comes in and he's talking about doing something similar that Obama did with the $15,000 grant program for first home buyers, but we don't know the verbiage of it. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Of course, you're going to have to qualify for it. But it all just depends. It all depends on your income, your credit, all that good stuff. There's going to be requirements for it. So there's also great programs out there already. Our fellow NAREP friend Grace has some great programs as well.
I saw
Grace
that.
Davis has some great
25,000.
programs. Yeah, $25,000, and if you live in the East Bay, and there's requirements, but they're not crazy. And if you qualify for it, all the power to you. That's $25,000 you can use towards a home. So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Happy to put you in touch with Grace so you guys can look into those. But there's so much programs out there. I think this next one is going to be definitely very helpful from our president-elect Joe Biden. But you know what? That's just going to make things a lot more competitive. It's going to bring more buyers to what we already have is an inflated buyer's market. Yeah. And sellers, if you're listening, we need you to sell your house because we have buyers lined up. I'm talking about, like, I walked out of a property, Zulien, that we had an appointment for. It was at 10 o'clock in the morning, and everything's kind of structured right now. So everyone has about 30-minute slots to get in, get out. And then we as realtors, not everybody does this, but I take very, very seriously that I clean up after my clients leave. So usually I'll tell my clients, okay, great, I'll meet you outside. Usually we have another house to go to, or we'll talk outside. And so I'm cleaning up, and I already hear someone like, excuse me. And it's not my clients, obviously. They wouldn't tell me, excuse me. They just come up to me and they're like, are you done? And I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm looking over, and it's like, oh, they're like literally already ready to jump into the house. And it's like, hold on, I got a couple minutes. Let me clean up for you and make sure the house is sanitized before you just run in the door. And then I looked outside, Zulien, there was 5, not kid you not, 5 other groups of agents. And I'm like, I counted them. I'm like, one's at the door. There was 3 of them lined up, like 1, 2, 3. And I look over my right, there's somebody else behind the agent that I was already talking to. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh my God.
So it's like,
because you guys can get in trouble and shut down and no more stuff.
I don't know what happened there. If people got double booked or everyone's extremely early. I'm not sure what happened. But to be honest, it sucks because, at that point, now you're telling your clients, like, did you guys see what just happened? That means that we're going up against a lot of offers here. There's going to be a lot of attention. That attention is going to translate into offers, and we're like every other house on the market. If it looks good and it's priced well, it's going to sell. And typically right now, buyers, when you look at those prices, they are underpriced. Usually I'm saying at 8 to 10% on top of that. And then if you're okay with that number, that's typically what it's going to sell for. Usually 8 to 10% over asking. It's like literally like clockwork. Every agent's literally listing their house 8 to 10% under market value, or where the houses actually should be selling at based on comps.
Yeah.
It sucks because, everyone wants to buy a house, but there's just not many out there to sell them. And then everyone kind of, like, the sellers have taken a break. The buyers have not. The sellers took a break. We were expected to get a huge influx of inventory this year, but COVID has just not allowed us to get that inventory because a lot of the sellers were supposed to be elderly folks that are baby boomers. They were supposed to start moving out of California. We predicted that 2020, 2021, we're going to have a lot of inventory because people were going to start retiring and moving out and downsizing. And just a lot of those people are high risk, so they're not moving. So that's kind of what's playing into all this. And, new construction's out there, it's available. Although I might have to wait a little bit to have it built. It's going to be brand new. From an insurance standpoint, I'm pretty sure you guys love new construction because everything's up to code and done right. So, but yeah, new construction definitely is the way to go, guys. If you want something nice and you want something done right and you want it guaranteed for you, and even then, like I've gone to communities where like we have a huge wait list and we're barely talking to people from October. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's January. And they're like, yeah, we're barely talking to people who signed up in October. I'm like, wow. So yeah, there's a lot of people buying. If you guys need any help, let us know, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate. I did see comments come in here. You have a few minutes? Okay, so we have one for you actually. Earthquake insurance. You ready for this? So how do you inform different clients? Okay, so they're asking about home insurance, and then they're asking me. I think they're asking me, how do you form the difference to clients as they become homeowners? Oh, maybe they're asking like earthquake insurance. Do you bring that up when you're talking to them or no?
Well, yes, we do bring
Okay.
up earthquake insurance because we have to offer a quote. So even even when you become a homeowner, every renewal you're going to receive an offer of earthquake insurance within your policy renewal. It's a separate policy, but yeah, it's just mandatory that we give that to you. It's optional whether you purchase it or not. Um, Earthquake insurance in the Bay Area will be expensive, but we will find a happy medium in. I call it a seesaw. So we just have to play with it. We have to play with the numbers. But in last year we had California Earthquake Authority had a premium increase. They discovered more fault lines in the Bay Area, and so things got rezoned.
Got it. Okay, I think that exactly was her question. If it's brought up, and how do you inform them on what the differences and what the coverages are? Obviously, you're going to tell them, what the prices are, what it covers, and all that good stuff. But this is Sharon as well. Sharon's asking another question and this one's for me actually. It says, Ricky, for sellers, are you experiencing sellers moving out of state? Yes, 100%. What Texas? Everyone's going to Texas to go to what is it, Fifth Street, and get some tequila on tap.
Yep.
I got to keep that in my mind because that's going to be a bucket list item. I got to go, and then I'm gonna FaceTime you when I'm there, and then so I'm gonna be taking chilled tequila shots for you. But what's the percentage of sellers? What's the percentage of sellers moving motive or what's your percentage? Maybe perspective of sellers. What's their motive for selling? Well, that's a two-part question, but they kind of overlap a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing here, Sharon, is that people are moving out of state 100%. And I would say the destinations right now are Montana, Idaho. Boise, Idaho is like number one. Everyone's like, we're going to Boise. Land is cheap. They get a nice house on a big lot. They can go hunting, fishing, you name it. And people are still going to Oregon. People are still going to Washington. They're just not going to major cities anymore, guys. That's the thing here. Like major cities have gone out the window. If you guys are looking for a bang for your buck and you guys are looking to move back into the city, go back right now, because right now is the time to buy in San Francisco. Right now is the time to buy in major cities. You can't literally sell anything in New York or San Francisco right now because no one wants to be in congested cities. The nightlife is gone. The restaurants are closing up, all that stuff. So a majority of sellers are moving out of state. I will tell you either that or they are selling to get out of the city and get into more rural, more suburban areas. And the reason why, guys, is COVID. COVID has really brought to light the fact that their homes may not be the most desirable place right now. Like they may not like where they're living, and maybe it makes sense when they could go out and have dinner and hang out and then come home and just go to sleep, but they're stuck in their homes all day now. And maybe they found out that they don't got enough running around room. They don't have enough room for activities or to cook or to do whatever. And now if they have children, forget about it, guys. Forget about it. They now are in a confined space, either with their partner or spouse or what have you, with children that are also distance learning or crying or whatever. And Julien's like, that's me. But it's like, if you don't have the space, and if you don't have like, if you can't take a break and walk outside and enjoy maybe a glass of wine in your backyard, people really desire that right now. That's what's the main thing. People really want to have that extra bedroom for their office so they can lock the door and have privacy. They want to have the pool. They want to have the spa. They want the backyard. They want an in-law unit or an ADU so they can go and maybe have a bar or game room or something where they can kind of distract themselves from daily life, because we're not really doing anything right now, guys. It's going to be a while till everything gets back to normal, and thank God that everything's kind of hopefully trending in the right direction now after the holidays. But it got bad and it got real ugly lately, and hopefully everything gets better. And my heart and prayers goes out to all those folks that were affected. A lot of my family has been affected as well, but the importance right now definitely is quality of life, and being able to enjoy the outdoors, and being able to if you have a house that's next to Mount Diablo, or a house that's next to walking trails, or a house that you may have access to a park. That's what really brings folks really. That's what kind of really is motivating folks right now. So I would say, if I had to put a number on it, I want to say the motive right now, I would say majority. I'm saying like maybe 70% of people who are selling for a better living situation. They're selling because they have a confined space, whether they're renting an apartment or a condo, or living in a condo or whatever, and they want they want that life. I mean, right now, my neighbor has just recently told me that he has a house in a HOA community in Arnold, and they typically have about 30% occupancy. 30%, guys. 30% of people literally are there all the time. And it's up to 70% occupancy. We're talking about 3 times the amount of people now living there, because they've left their homes, or just said, screw it, we're going back to our mountain house. We're going to stay there because obviously we can be outdoors. We can go walking. We can go hiking, fishing, what have you. And we're not pretty much in that confined space. And, with the congestion of the city, a lot of people there. So if I had to put a number, that's what it would be. And definitely the importance is 100% is quality of life right now. That's the number one thing. So I don't see any other questions. Anybody else have anything they want to ask? I'm waiting for a tequila question, but I don't think we're going to get it tonight. But anything you want to close out with, Zulien?
No, I think you're correct. I think people want more space, or I saw a post about people going to Tahoe or buying in Tahoe because they want that natural, they want to be outside. They want to be in la naturaleza, right? They want to be out and about.
Exactly.
I mean, I work, I'm home, I'm teaching. I mean, I'm an assistant teacher because Madison has a great teacher. So I always say I'm an assistant teacher. But, I'm tired of being at home. So if I can jet, I'm going to try to find out where I can go, where it's safe. Luckily, we like to camp. And so, we take the kids outdoors because that's just our sanity. So, and like you said, it's important where you live. I live in Livermore, so we have some great trails.
You're wine country too.
Yeah, and so for me, it's nice to be able to get out and take them out and get fresh air. And I think everyone's in that same predicament about wanting to be out and about in a safe manner, of course. So
exactly. I agree 100%. And you're blessed and I'm blessed. I mean, I live next to walking trails. That's where I literally walked up to Lime Ridge Open Space. My communities, that's my community. So I can take my dog on a walk. I can drive to Mount Diablo, all that good stuff. So I'm blessed right now, but a lot of people aren't in the same living situation. So, so thank you, Sharon, for your question. For your questions. I appreciate it, and definitely engaging us a little bit more. But yeah, if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, especially if you guys need to review your policies, need to make sure that you guys got the right coverage. Holler at Zulien. She'll take care of you. She just remember Jacob State Farm, not Farmer.
Yes, that cutie pie. Sorry. I think he's cute.
I'm pretty sure that's why he has all the commercials, because he's what's the word, he has that kind of that vibe, like, oh yeah, he should be on camera. Yeah, that's why they keep him around.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a cutie pie. He's good eye candy.
There you go. I was looking for that word, but I didn't know what to say. And I was like, the people that like
Females will know that.
yeah, yeah. He's one of those people that you're okay with seeing on the on TV, where like you're watching football and then Jacob State Farm says something funny, and then you got those funny commercials like Aaron Rodgers and all that, and then back to football. So, but no, thank you again. It was a pleasure. I'm glad you jumped on here. We talked some tequila. That was awesome. I'm glad that maybe we intrigued you a little bit more on añejos, and maybe next time you won't pick up the blanco, and then that always makes me happy when I can help people kind of discover tequila and understand it, and maybe try something different. So I'm glad you did. And George Clooney, hats off to you. Great tequila. Michael Jordan, you did a pretty good job, my man, in this bottle. I'm definitely going to cherish it. And Zulien, you want to show everybody what you got too? Because
sure do.
You got my favorite, Casamigos. So we did the celebrity version of Tequila Transactions today. So we did Michael Jordan, Cincoro, and then my man George Clooney's Casamigos. So they're both great buys, guys. A little difference in price. If I'm gonna go with any of them, I'm going with Zulien's Casamigos, just because you get more bang for your buck, and it's a delicious tequila. So I think that's where we're gonna end it. Ended on a great note talking about tequila. And again, I appreciate you. This was episode 8 for Tequila Transactions. And hopefully, we'll keep doing these, and maybe we'll have you back, and we'll talk about your journey with tequila.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Great conversating with you. And then we will be talking soon. Talking NAREP.
Sounds good.
All right, Zulien. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Bye, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.